Hey guys, on this we're going to look at solving linear equations. Just some examples, and we'll do some more examples in class. But here we go. We're going to need this. We're going to need to be very proficient at solving equations next week. So if you're having any trouble with this, make sure you come see me. All right, this first one we have variables on both sides. We have a 9x on this side and a 5x on this side. And of course we have the numbers. Whenever you have variables and numbers all over the place like this, you want to make sure you get your variable on one side and your numbers on the other. So all the variables over here, all the numbers over here. So the way we move things across the equal sign is we do the opposite of what's there. So I need to get all the variables over here. And the reason I chose this side is because my variable, my 9, is larger than my 5. So I want to go to the bigger side when I can. So to move this 5x over, the opposite of 5x, I would subtract 5x. That way those will cancel. They will zero each other out. And so what I do to one side, I must do to the other. So this will give me 4x on this side. I'm going to bring down my minus 13 equals 57. Okay. Then next, I've got all of my variables over here, so now I need to work on moving my numbers to the other side. Again, to move across, I got to zero it out. So to do that, I do the opposite. That way all that zeroes out. What I do to one side, I must do to the other. So I get 4x equals 70. And then I'm going to go back and divide. So x equals, 4 goes into 7 once, 4 goes into 30 only 7 times, because 7 times 4 is 28, so it leaves us 2 left over. So that'd be 2 fourths. Well, we don't want 2 fourths. We reduce that, so that's 17.5, which is also 17.5. Those are the same thing. Make sure you're comfortable with doing both of those. All right. Now, to check that, you could take that 17.5 in your calculator, and you should get the same thing on both sides. So if you do 9 times 17.5 minus 13, you'll get a number. And then go back and do 5 times 17.5 plus 57, you'll get a number, and those numbers should match. If they don't, you've done something wrong. Okay, let's go back. All right, let's look at this one over here. There's all kinds of stuff going on over here, so I pulled out my handy-dandy calculator. You definitely need to make sure you have a calculator at home. Hopefully you have a graphing, but if not, just make sure you have at least a scientific one. On here, we have all kinds of parentheses going on, so we're going to distribute to get rid of those. Now, remember, if you can't combine what's on the inside, then you'll go ahead and get rid of the parentheses. So we're going to distribute this 5. 5 times 3x would be 15x. 5 times negative 18 would be negative 90 if you put it in your calculator. Then we have here, we have all kinds of stuff going on. Now remember, we want to take care of parentheses first before we ever subtract over here. So we've got to go from here out. So these won't combine, so that means I'm going to distribute this. Do not do 30 minus 4. That's a major mistake we see all the time, so don't do that. But we're going to distribute here, so I'm just going to bring down the 30. The negative 4, and this is tricky, you got to remember that you're multiplying by negative 4, not just 4. So negative 4 times 6 is negative 24x. And then again, the negative distributes again to the outside, to the inside and outside. So it's negative 4 times negative 39 times 9 is negative 30 is positive 36. I'm sorry. Negative 4 times negative 9 is positive 36. All right, moving on. Now here we just have x's and numbers. And over here we have x's but a couple of numbers. Now we don't want to start moving across the equal sign until we've combined everything we can on both sides. So here I've got this 30 and 36. I'm going to combine those and make 66 out of those. And then I'm just going to bring down the x's. This is equal to 15x minus 90. Now that I've simplified everything on both sides, uh-oh, I forgot my x. Let me try that again. Don't do that. That's a major problem. All right, 15x minus 90. All right, now I'm going to decide about my variable. Which one's bigger? I got positive 15x and negative 24x. I always like to move it to the positive because that way positive numbers are easier to deal with. So I'm going to move my variables to this side and my numbers, don't do that, and my numbers to this side. Okay, So I'm going to move this 24x over. Well, here it's negative, so when I move it over to zero it out, I have to do the opposite. So they zero. So what I do to one side, I do to the other. 15 plus 24 would be 39x. Minus 90 coming down. Eventually, we'll try to do this all in one step. But that's okay. Right now, we'll keep it separated while we're reviewing. I've got all my x's over here. I want this number over here now. So I'm going to do plus 90. So this is 39x equals 156. So I'm going to go over here. That's a big number. I'm going to do 156 divided by 39 equals 4. All right, nice pretty number. Who'd have thought? Okay, now everybody knows that I'm dividing here because this is 39 times x. So to undo that, the opposite of multiplication is division because I'm undoing. So I'm going to do divided by 39 on this side also. And of course, we just figured out that that gives us x equals 4. Okay? When we put that in our calculator. So that's our final answer. And again, we could go up here and plug this 4 in. As a matter of fact, let's just do it. We're going to do 3 times 4 minus 18. 3 times 4 minus 18 equals negative 6. So all that's negative 6 times 5. So I got a negative 30 over here from my check. So on the other side, I should get negative 30 also. So inside of here, I'm going to do the parentheses first. I'm multiplying by 4 for the x. 6 times 4 minus 9 equals times negative 4. Oops, where's my negative? Oh, there it is, times negative 4. Oh, no, that's not going to do what I want. Let's go back. Oh, can I go back? Please let me go back. Clear. Let's start over. All right, so one more time. 6 times 4 equals minus 9 equals times 4 equals, but that should actually be negative 4, so that should be negative 60. So let's change it to a negative, and then our 30 is positive, so plus 30 equals negative 30. Oh my goodness, awesome. We got the same thing on both sides, so we know that 4 is correct. All right. All right, let's try it again. I'm going a little faster this time. We have parentheses. Nothing inside the parentheses will combine, so I'm going to distribute by 4. 4 times x is 4x. 4 times negative 3 would be negative 12 equals negative 2 times 9 would be negative 18. Negative 2 times negative 8x is plus 16x. Be careful, it's negative times a negative, positive. All right, now I have 4x over here and positive 16x over here. So I'm going to move my variables over here and my numbers over here so I can stay positive. So I'm going to move this 4x first. Take care of your variables first when you can. It's a good habit, just kind of do it the same way every time as much as possible. Less likely to make mistakes. So that will zero out. 16 minus 4 is 12x. The negative 18 drops down. We haven't done anything with that yet. And the negative 12 drops down. All right, so I moved my variables over here, but my numbers are coming to the left. So that means I have to move this one over here to the left. So I'm going to add 18. Add 18 equals. These zero out. 18 and negative 12 is positive 6 equals 12x. Now here, be careful here. Don't go back to third grade. They always put the bigger number in the calculator first. Remember, you're going to divide by the whatever with the x, not necessarily what's on the left side, but whatever's with the x. The x is what we're trying to get by itself. So the opposite of multiplication is division. So what I do to one side, I do to the other. These cancel. 6 over 12 is not 2, okay? 6 over 12 reduces to 1/2. All right, so x equals 1/2, or 0.5, okay? All right, let me get this out of the way. And we'll come over here. Oh, goodness, this is an ugly one. So it's all right. We can handle it. One thing at a time. Okay. Here we go. On this, we got a fraction. I know how much we love fractions, but this is actually not too bad. So let's try it. We've got an x, a number, and a number. So my x's are already, I just have one x, and it's on the left, so we might as well not move it around. Let's just leave it where it is. So that means I'm going to put the numbers over here. So what's got to move is this 6. I want to do the opposite. I'm going to add 6, add 6. 14 and 6 is 20. These zero out. I'm left with 4/5 x. I'm going to show you a couple ways to do this one. We have a couple options. We can do it all at once. So if we do it all at once, the opposite of 4/5 would be the reciprocal of that. The inverse, actually, is what you'd call that. So you'd multiply, instead of dividing by 5, you'd multiply by 5. Instead of multiplying by 4, you divide by 4. So that gives you the 5/4. And what you do to one side, you must do to the other. Okay? Now that looks easy, but it's really not that hard. Okay? Remember, denominator's division. So just do 20 divided by 4 is 80. 80 times 5 is, oh gosh, what is that? 400, right? So you get 400 out of that. We could do it the other way also. We could do 20, no, I'm sorry, that's not right, it's 40. Let me erase that. Okay, erase. Pen. All right. Sorry, having trouble. Let me finish this up. Let's try again. 20 divided by 4 is actually 5. Times 5 is 25. Okay? Because this here gives you 5. Everybody okay with that? 20 divided by 4. Now, the other way I could do it, if you don't like that method, is I could, if we come back to the original, 4/5 x equals 20, is I can do one step at a time. I can get rid of the division first. Well, getting rid of that 5, I'm going to multiply both sides by 5. The way it cancels, cancels. Okay, so I get 4x equals, what's 20 times 5? 100. And then I'm left with something that's easy. Divide by 4, divide by 4. But either way you do it, you get x equals 25. So whichever way you're more comfortable with is fine by me. And when you have multiple fractions at once, which we'll look at that, you may want to just go ahead and get rid of that 4 anyway. Or get rid of the 5 first anyway. Okay, hope that helped. Okay, guys, just in case the copies didn't get out today, I think they will, but just in case they don't, this is the assignment that goes with what we just did, and this is actually going to be what we're going to do in class on Monday. If you want to get a head start and go ahead and start on it, you're more than welcome to do that. You can either copy it from here, from the video, or you may download it from the website. It's under the video notes actually this time, so you can look under there. So those are the first 8 questions. If you need to pause to copy them, you can. There's 9 and 10 at the bottom. Pause it if you need to. Here's 11 through 16. Pause it if you need to. And last one, 17 through 18. Hopefully you can see those. I hope they're not too small in the video. Anyhow, have a good evening.